G'day guys, it's Brian here and welcome to Gabriel Method Coach Q&A. This is the first episode. We had a really good time in there and the topics that we covered were many and varied. We got through Gabriel Method, how to get started, the connection between sleep and weight loss. We touched on get thin, get eaten training, what's the best way to do it and how to add it in. And we also went a little bit further in like adding the big three and how important that is. Anyway, it's all on the inside. Hope you enjoy it and get some value from it. See you in there. Okay, hello and welcome. My name is Brian Killian, or Coach Brian, as you may know me at the Gabriel Method. And welcome to my first episode of Gabriel Method Q&A. The idea of this, guys, really is to allow you to ask any questions that you might have about your Gabriel Method journey. And I'll do my best as a Gabriel Method coach to give you a hand and keep you moving in the right direction. Now, those of you who don't know me, I'll just give you a little quick background about who I am and my experience. So my name is Brian Killian, and I've been coaching the Gabriel Method for about 15 years now. I am a qualified naturopath and also a qualified fitness coach, and I live in Australia. So I'm coming to you from springtime, meant to be here in Australia, although it's very cloudy and windy and we're having unusual weather, but it's still a beautiful place to live. So my experience with the Gabriel Method, I've been involved with doing a lot of the one-on-one coaching programs there, and I've also involved with running the detox program. So I've been within the Gabriel Method community for quite some time, and it's my pleasure to get out here in front and to help you guys as much as I can. And it would be really nice if you are watching to just drop a g'day or a hi, to me, so I know that some people are watching. Would be good. And we got Kathy. Hello, Kathy. Thank you for joining me here for my Q&A session. Now, I do have some questions that have been given to me previously, so I thought I'll start with those. And if you guys have any questions as we're going through, they will pop up. Hello, Vicky. Thank you for joining us. G'day, Lauren. Oh, this is cool. We've got some people joining me. Terrific. Thank you. I appreciate your time and appreciate you guys jumping on board. And we've got Melinda and Robin. We've got quite a crowd, coming through. Good on you. Thank you so much. Okay, well, I'm going to start straight away. And we want to make best use of our 30 minutes. I've got 30 minutes, and then I'm actually going to be out in the park. I've got a coaching group to run around, so we don't want to dilly-dally, and I don't want to waste your time. So first of all, the question I've got is actually from Robin, who's in here on the call. Thank you, Robin. She's in New York. And her question was, and this is one that I actually hear quite often too, Brian, I tend to get overwhelmed with how to actually do the Gabriel Method. I love the concept of it being a mind-body solution, but I don't know where to start. Now, that is one thing that I think that I've heard like many, many times over, my connection with the Gabriel Method. People have loved the book, they understand the concept, but they don't actually know, how to take, what action to take. Specifically, what action to take first. Now, when you sort of get back to basics of what the Gabriel Method is, how to actually do the Gabriel Method, essentially I see it as there are like 6 action steps to do, the Gabriel Method. Now, Robin, in answer to your question, I always think, I suppose there's one way of doing it, right? There's one way of trying to apply all of the 6 action steps all at once. And then I think that what that tends to do is create a lot of overwhelm, a lot of sort of half-heartedness, for want of a better description, towards the action steps. My philosophy with coaching is I think it's better off to do like one action step really well and then move through to the next ones. And then slowly you build up, this daily framework that, fits in with your own life, as opposed to trying to impose it on your own life, which can increase your stress levels, and therefore, as a result, turn your fat program, on. So I like the idea of, one at a time. Now, in your situation, as I tend to know your background, I think that it's when you're wording a question like that, and the fact that the problem that you see and that many other people also come across is that overwhelm. And when we're talking about overwhelm, we're connecting that to an increase in stress hormone, and we're increasing that to an increase in the stress hormone cortisol, which in actual fact turn your fat program on. Okay, so what's one thing that we know? What are one of the action steps that we can do that we know will reduce cortisol? And the first one that comes to mind for me is like to do one of the visualizations. All right, so a visualization is, really the cornerstone, or what separates, the Gabriel method from what so many other weight loss programs, because it means that what we're doing is we're applying like an action that is looking after or trying to improve like the health of someone's mind. Whereas, very often, like with other, programs that are addressing, weight loss, it's all about, focusing on the body. So the very first action step that I would encourage you to do, if you're not already doing it, would be to listen to the evening visualization. Now, many people have started and they've stopped. If you've been around the Gabriel method like for a long time, you probably started with, with all full intentions. You've been listening to the Gabriel method, evening visualization, and then as tends to happen, you're not like maybe aware of its influence, or you don't see your weight coming off, or you don't have any sense that it's actually doing anything, for you, and then you stop it, and you lose that opportunity of the benefit that it can bring. Now, I don't want to bring you false hope and say just by doing the evening visualization, you're going to stand in front of the mirror and, you're going to have your ideal body. It's absolutely not what I'm about, and I don't want to, give you that impression. But what it will do, all right, it'll sort of kill two birds with one stone, in that the objective of the evening visualization is to, one, improve the quality of your sleep by putting you into a less stressed environment internally, and it does that unconsciously by the music that is playing. That smart music that plays sort of incidentally in the background. Your brain follows that music as it's playing, and it finds it very calming and soothing, which is a good thing as you're trying to get to sleep, specifically unconsciously. Consciously, your brain might be going, a million miles an hour, thinking of everything you need to do like the next day. I assure you that's a-okay, and that is completely normal for many of us. But then at least like unconsciously, like the greater part of your experience, like 90% of your experience, is getting a calm and having a restful time. So that's one benefit of doing the evening visualization, is that it lowers your cortisol levels. The second one, so that's improving like the quality of your sleep, and then also the quantity of your sleep. It tends, just whether it's John's voice, I don't know, or whether it's just the fact of the music playing. What it does tend to do, it tends to put people to sleep, so you get to sleep like more easily. So if there was one thing that I would encourage Robin and anyone else that's listening to this to do, if you're wanting to start the Gabriel method and thinking, okay, what's my best first step, I would certainly start with hitting play on that evening visualization, not being concerned whether or not it's doing its job, or whether you're doing it right or not. Thank you, Robin. But just being assured that you're doing a good thing for yourself, for your mind and your body, by listening to a meditation. And meditation is proven. Like, It's proven to reduce stress hormone cortisol. And we all know, we all experience stress, and that's not a, it's not a bad thing in itself. We can get a lot of good out of being acutely stressed. We can get things done. It's energizing. You can get all your lists done, for the day. But it's when it's that chronic, unrelenting stress, it's very damaging for your immune system specifically. It doesn't give you that opportunity, when you're asleep to heal, because, effectively, like, your brain's still thinking that it's, in a state of angst, and won't divert the, the energy from working out all of your stuff to, healing your body, which is really your time for healing your body is when you're asleep. So it's a very important time, for that. And we also know if you're familiar with the Gabriel method, that elevated stress hormone cortisol will keep your fat program on, which we don't want to happen. Okay. Does that all make sense to everybody? Long way around, but we got there. We got there in the end. Again, I encourage you, if you have any questions, feel free to throw them in the chat. As incidental or simple as any of your questions are, they do matter. So don't hold on to them. Put them out there, and you may find that many people are experiencing the same, because I've been doing this long enough to know that people come up against the same blocks very, very often, and then they stop doing the Gabriel method, and it's unfortunate, because very often, the deal with the Gabriel method is it's a long process, and whilst you can have little wins along the way, it really is it's a long-term solution, and incorporating those action steps. So the Gabriel method becomes your method, Kathy's method, or Melinda's method. Who else we got? Lauren's method, Vicky's method. So it becomes your own way of doing the Gabriel method, incorporated into your own life. I find when I'm coaching, that's always my goal. Is I know what I want people to do, but I'm also respectful of the fact that I don't want to disrupt people's lives. Very often people are they're happy with the way they live. They don't want to necessarily get up super early and do a morning visualization. That's okay. Maybe it's better for them to do their morning visualization at 11 a.m. Okay. So there are different ways of juggling it, and I think that's actually the value, to be honest, of having a one-on-one coach, or doing a coaching program in a small group like I'm offering, that we can work those little chinks out, so the Gabriel method becomes your method, and then you can get the full power of it, because it just sort of sits closer to you. Anyway, thank you. Right, good Melinda and good Robin. I'm very pleased to hear that you're going to be back on track there with the evening visualization. The next one, unless there's any questions that I'm missing. This is all new technology to me, so I do apologize. This is so encouraging. Oh, good on you, Lauren. Thank you. So I am seeing your chats. I've just worked out, though, that I was going the wrong way. Now I know that they go downwards. So now I'm understanding how this technology works. And now we've got Marsha on board. Good on you, Marsha. Yeah, that's a nice thing. I just learned that right after meditation, sit there and sense into how your body feels. I sort of like doing that too. You sit in your meditation, maybe not necessarily when you're doing the evening visualization, because you're probably eyes closed and off to la la land, which is good. But if you're doing any of the ones during the day, when the meditation's finished, I think it is a really good idea to just sit and pause before you take off into your day, and just reflect on what you've done, and congratulate yourself on what you've done, and feel that state that you've created, And visualization, meditation is like, it's just like training for the rest of your day. So don't just meditate and then you go off and like be back into your hectic world and like running around like a maniac and trying to get everything done. The whole idea is that you're training to take that feeling, essence, emotion, or state, for want of a better description, like into your day. So when it hits you, you're stuck in traffic, or someone says something to you that you really don't like, or whatever happens during the day that makes you start to react in like a negative emotion for yourself, like you remember, for yourself, you've got that safe place to go back that you've created with your visualization or meditation. You've got that to go back to. So you've got a nice framework to go back to, which I think is really valuable skill to have. Rightio. Okay, so my next question here is from Farida, and she is in Sydney, Australia. She's a local. Well, not actually local to me, but she's in a little way away. It's about 3 hours. And I'm so confused. Oh, she's confused as well. Poor Farida. What actually is the big three that John refers to? Okay, the big three. Let's do a little quiz about who knows what the big three is while I read this question from Keith. Before I give you my answer. Keith, rightio. Let me just answer protein, live food, and omega-3. I knew Kathy would know that. Susan, she's written I do. I'm going to give her the benefit of the doubt because Susan's been around for a while, so I'm sure that she knows what it is. But Kathy has just nailed it straight off. Okay, thank you. All right, so I'm just before that, I'm just going to answer Keith's question. I'm interested in the intermittent bursts of speed with exercise. Whoa, what happened then? Hang on. Rightio. Sorry. Again, please bear with me. It's Lynn. Rightio. I'm sorry, I've got this. Okay, so Lynn, I'm interested in the intermittent bursts of exercise. This is of exercise, but I have an injured medial knee ligament and wear a brace. My exercise of choice is walking, but I wonder if a stationary bike would be better. Do you have any experience in this? Absolutely, I have loads of experience in that. Absolutely, Lynn. If you like if you want to do that high intensity work. Now, high intensity work, if those of you who are interested in doing some fitness, is terrific for turning on your get thin, get eaten stress response, which is the exact opposite to your fat program. So your fat program is about conserving energy due to the stimulus your mind body is receiving. So if it's receiving like chronic stress, like you're in a famine or like you're freezing to death, the most appropriate response, according to your brain, is for you to conserve energy and to protect yourself, to keep yourself safe by slowing everything down and making you fatter, okay? Now, the opposite is also true. If you would apply an acute stress, right? Like an acute stress, like high intensity work on an exercise bike, short burst, 20 seconds. You go as fast as you possibly are able to do at your current level of fitness, okay? You don't need to hit any heart rate or hit a certain, kilometers per hour or any of those things. I'm not interested in any of that. What I am interested in is your intensity of effort for no longer than 30 seconds, all right? 30 seconds or under, you go as hard as you possibly can. That is a signal to your brain that we're doing something fast, we're doing something quick. It doesn't necessarily know that you're not running away from like a tiger or some sort of animal or beast. As a result of that, it sets up, a mechanism that provides you with energy. Okay, that's that get thin, get eaten stress response. And if you have body fat, it's going to look at encouraging your body to use body fat. So a long way around it there, Lynn. The answer is absolutely. That would be a great thing, for you to do. And I hope that makes sense. Look after your knee. Just on a side note, if I can put my naturopathic hat on, certainly the omega-3 is terrific. It has an anti-inflammatory effect, meaning that it's not anti-inflammatory as in a medication that stops the healing process. What it does is omega-3 encourages the healing process. So it's a completely different approach in that the omega-3 will encourage healing, whereas an anti-inflammatory medication, which I'm absolutely not saying anyone who's taking them should go off them, but what that does is that stops the healing process. Okay. Alrighty, so we're back to, looks like everyone's got full marks. Everyone knows, everyone's all over the big three. So we better tell Farida, put her out of her misery when she's watching this, what it is. So absolutely, so it's protein, animal or vegetable. It's live food. Now, live food, like what's the definition of live food? This is my own definition of live food, but I think if anything is grown as a result of the sun, it's captured the sun through photosynthesis to grow, I think we can classify that as a live food. So any plants, obviously, would be a live food. The fruits of a plant, like strawberries, any fruit, bananas, would be classified as a live food. But what about, and then there's the more obscure ones like seaweed. What are other ones? Jeepers, Brian. Let me look at my list. So I think it's okay to result. Sprouts is a good one. Fruits, fermented foods, sauerkraut, kimchi, tempeh, and pickles. Yeah, they're all sort of derivatives. They're all like derivatives of, aren't they? So I think essentially if you're looking at, fruit, vegetables, sprouts, adding like loads of those, then you're going to be good with the live food component. And then the omega-3 is I think we've sort of expanded that a little bit since John first wrote his book. I think we put that under more like a healthy fat. Healthy fats are they're good for weight loss, and they're also good for your cellular function and structure. Let me explain why they're good for the structure, because I found this fascinating when I found out. Okay, so we're made up of like trillions and trillions of cells. I'm not sure what the last count was. I'm not sure they actually know, but it's like a lot of trillions. I think it's maybe like 60 trillion cells, a lot of cells. Now, each one of those cells, if you can think of like a little fish egg looks like, has that little membrane around it, that little fatty membrane around it. Now that in our cells are essentially like a membrane, which is made of fat, and then all the good bits are inside. You have your nucleus, your RNA, your DNA, your mitochondria, your ribosomes, all these fancy things that you may have heard. But what's all holding it together is that cell membrane. And your cell membrane is really your first point of contact to your environment. Like what's coming along in your blood, whether it's, good or bad, your cell membrane is the first port of call, like whether it's going to let things in, going to let things out. So it's extremely important what that is made from, okay? And also, just as a side note, considering that your cells turn themselves over, every single day, so you have fresh cells. Now, dependent on the type of fat that you ingest, determines the quality of and the composition of what that cell membrane, your cell membrane, my cell membrane is made of. Now, I find this very empowering, because if you put in lots of like omega-3 fats, those little cells that are making every day are getting the best building ingredients available. That cell membrane it's strong, but it's also permeable. Like, it lets things in, it lets things out. It's able to not be easily penetrated, and it's healthier. It's far healthier than if you put yourself in. Maybe if you put in like a lot of so we'll just say unhealthy fats, trans fats, for a terrible example of a bad fat, then your cells are made of those fats, which means you're made of those fats, which means that your body can't relate to the outside, your environment, anywhere near as well as if you were having good fats. Now, I think about this every day as I'm having my omega-3, whether I'm having some avocado or if I'm just having some supplements. I think of like the gift I'm giving my body, that I'm building it every day with like really good fat, and how important that is. Okay, so Farida, the big three is protein, live food, and omega-3. And what it is it's John's overriding nutritional principle. So we don't go calories in, we don't go calories out. One thing that does like annoy me like a little bit, it doesn't annoy me, but one thing that I think gets a bit misconstrued, is probably a better word to use, is that a lot of people, when they come to the Gabriel method, they treat it like a diet. They just see the food bit, and we are, as coaches, we can tend to get steered down that direction as well, because it's a big thing to play. But remember, what our core principle is at the Gabriel method is to add. It's all about adding. Like, it doesn't matter if you have a chocolate bar. It doesn't matter if you have like a milkshake or a glass of wine, or, maybe that's appropriate, to have a glass of wine. I know some people here, it's absolutely very appropriate for what they're going through. And, but regardless of that, add the big three. Get that in first, or get that in like during your day. And then those other things will tend to, fall away. You'll be able to stand back and look at them and go, actually, I don't need that second glass, or I'll just have one glass, or that chocolate bar is not really appealing today. And you'll find that that'll happen as a result of adding the big three. So again, it's not about restriction. It's all about adding. Keep that in mind when you're doing the Gabriel method, and it's a much nicer experience. Okay. I think we've got time for one more question. I hope you guys have enjoyed this. If you have, I'd love to hear. I got an ego, so I would love to hear that you've enjoyed this, because if it goes well, I'll just come back every week. 30 minutes of my time, come in and have a chat to you guys. It's an absolute pleasure. Susan, I underestimated the power of good sleep habits, but finally seeing the value. Any comments about sleep? Further to what I've already said, Susan, I would say that we can't underestimate the importance of we can't underestimate the importance of sleep for us. I don't know if you've had kids, but you just remember what your kids were like if they didn't get enough sleep. How cranky they were. I don't think that ever stops. If you're not getting enough sleep, you're more likely to exaggerate the negative emotions that you're having. So you might be a bit cranky, you might be a bit frustrated. But one thing that is really important, actually, that I remembered, which you might not know, is how your body reacts to lack of sleep. Okay, so you may have heard about your thyroid. Now, your thyroid has got this big role in your body of controlling your metabolic rate, which is the rate at which everything happens. Not just weight loss. People say, speed up your metabolic rate to lose weight. That's like maybe one thing, but it's the rate at which everything is done, including repair and healing. All the processes of your body want to be at a certain rhythm. Now, what that results in, if your metabolic rate is, we'll just say healthy, is that you experience a healthy amount of energy, during the day, right? Now, Susan, what happens when you don't get enough sleep? your body wants to conserve itself. So what conserve energy, because it doesn't feel as though it's got enough energy because it hasn't had enough sleep. So the first thing it does is it dials down your thyroid and it slows down your metabolic rate. So you have like less energy. And you know what happens when you have less energy? You like start craving like sugary foods to boost yourself up. You might have like more sugars to keep you going, more coffee. Anyway, thank you, Melinda. I hope that encourages Susan and makes some sense. Now I'm really worried I'm going to get cut off here automatically. So if I do, no, I didn't. All right, I didn't. I didn't. All right, now I must go because I've got a group out there all waiting for me. So thank you again. I will do one next week. All right, I'm encouraged by your feedback, so thank you. Rightio, good on you, Vicky. Yeah, and I'm going to put him through, the Gabriel method, like in the support group. So sometimes we might get some more people in from over there, but I really appreciate my loyal band of followers that are coming here. I know some of my family and friends are all also here. So I very much appreciate everyone's support, for what I'm trying to do. I do feel like a little bit of a minnow in a huge ocean compared to some of the bigger players around there, but I'm passionate about people living happy and healthy lives, and I think the Gabriel method is certainly one way, a nice framework for doing that. Okay, if you're interested in doing my the Gabriel method 7-day reset, please check out the link which I'll throw up on my socials a little bit later. Love to have you join me. Any questions during the week, if you've got, maybe just like throw them to me like in Messenger, or you can post them in my socials. If you enjoyed this, please share it with your friends, let people know. It'd be good to have a bit of a party and we can have some fun every week, and we can all live happier and healthier lives. All right, thank you again, and I will see you next week. All right, bye everyone.